In the name of Allah, the most gracious, the most merciful, peace be upon you. Why do Arab women feed their husbands onions soaked in olive oil before intercourse? Such a secret that once you know it, you all will start doing it too. My brother had gone to Dubai for work and had married an Arab woman there. One day, suddenly, his Arab wife called and gave us such news that our souls left our bodies. She told us that my brother had a heart attack and had died. At first I couldn't believe it, but then she said that she herself was bringing the dead body to Pakistan. Until I saw my brother's dead body with my own eyes, I would never have believed it because my brother was strong and young. Then, how could he suddenly have a heart attack? It was extremely unusual, and this thought was troubling me. How did my brother suddenly get an attack? Believing in a young death is always very difficult. And on top of that, my brother was oceans away from us. Every moment I was praying that my brother would be okay, and that this news would turn out to be false. But 5 days later, my Arab sister-in-law arrived in Pakistan with my brother's dead body. We were all staring at his body with broken eyes. My Arab sister-in-law was also screaming and expressing her grief, but for some reason, her face showed no expressions, as if she had no grief over my brother's death. She was only expressing grief with her words. No tears in her eyes, no pain on her face. Before this, none of us had even seen her face, and now she had come who looked very cunning and deceitful from her face. And I was surprised to see that she was very young and beautiful, while my brother was slightly older in age. We buried my brother, and when we returned, I saw that my Arab sister-in-law's gaze was fixed on my younger brother. I don't know why she was staring at my younger brother with great interest. My Arab sister-in-law didn't seem like a good woman to me at all. The house was full of people. Everyone had come to offer condolences, so I couldn't keep an eye on my sister-in-law for long. But at night when I went to the roof, I was shocked to see that my Arab sister-in-law was standing on the roof with my younger brother and was laughing and talking as if nothing had happened. Sister-in-law hadn't even observed the mourning period and was openly moving around the house while several women had reprimanded her for this, but she hadn't listened to anyone. When she saw me on the roof, my Arab sister-in-law put a brake on her laughter and put on a sorrowful expression as if she was very sad, but I wasn't so foolish as to not notice her changing expressions. The next day, when the crowd thinned a bit, I felt that my sister-in-law was carefully examining every little thing in the house, as if she had come here with some special purpose. I still hadn't fully understood her. She was constantly clinging to my younger brother and was whispering something to him. The surprising thing was that Layla's sister-in-law's Urdu was quite good. She would mix some Arabic words here and there to get her point across. A few days passed, and when silence fell over the house, I tried to find out from her what had suddenly happened to my brother. But she became sad at the mention of him and said that he had only brought as much life as was written. Her sadness also seemed fake to me. Layla, sister-in-law, had come for 6 months, and 5 months had already passed. But in those 5 months, I couldn't understand anything she said. All the time she would look around with probing eyes, asking everyone probing questions. I don't know what she wanted to know. If anyone talked about my brother, she would avert her eyes like thieves. This was her last month here, and the surprising thing was that Mother's attitude towards her was much better. She would sit with Mother in her room late at night, talking about something I was completely unaware of. Whenever I entered the room, sister-in-law would fall silent. Most of all, she avoided me. Perhaps she knew that I was aware of her cunning and deceitful nature. As her days of leaving approached, she would deliberately sit around looking sad all the time, and would say that she wanted to always stay connected with us so that her relationship with Farkan would remain intact. And then, suddenly one day, she said something from her own mouth that left me stunned. She wanted to marry me, and wanted me to marry her. I couldn't believe that she had forgotten my brother's grief so quickly, and was talking about marriage with me, where she was screaming loudly at the funeral and saying that no one could take Farkan's place in my life now. And not even 6 months had passed, and she was talking about marriage, and that too with me. There was something fishy, but I couldn't understand it. I refused outright, and it wasn't possible for me to marry her and go to Dubai with her. That way, my mother would be left alone. My sisters were still young, and then the truth was that I didn't understand sister-in-law's ways and habits at all. I had become convinced that she had come here with some special purpose. Upon my refusal, she started insisting repeatedly. Sister-in-law's excessive insistence was also something strange for me. What shortage of boys did she have in Dubai that she was dying to marry a plain-looking Pakistani boy like me? I was already very worried about the household situation, and now all these questions were confusing me. My job wasn't particularly good. The money that Farkan brother used to send was what sustained our household. After his death, it had become very difficult to run the household expenses. So, after some thought, Mother told me to marry Layla. What's wrong with this marriage? She is your brother's widow. It's good. You too will go to Dubai and settle down. Then the household situation will also improve. The 2 younger sisters are still left to be married. Think about them too. Mother was consumed with worry about her daughters. She had forgotten the grief of her son's death and was now worried about her daughter's future. Somewhere, I felt that Layla's sister-in-law had properly brainwashed her for this relationship, but what could Layla's sister-in-law gain by marrying me? I had nothing for myself. What would I give her? Many questions were swirling in my mind, but then, thinking about both my sisters' future, I decided to marry Layla's sister-in-law. Hearing this, she became very happy, as if she had found some treasure of Karun. Mother had our nikah done simply, and I had decided that I would definitely go to Dubai and find out how my brother had such a sudden heart attack. Layla's days of return were approaching, so I got my documents ready too. Layla had promised Mother that she would soon send so much money from Dubai that both my sisters would be sent off with honor. And then, when we reached Dubai, Layla took me to the house where she had lived with my brother. It wasn't a house, but a magnificent bungalow, and I was surprised that my brother's lifestyle was so excellent. I could never have imagined this, and now I and Layla too were to live here. Seeing Layla, a servant came running towards us and greeted us respectfully. Layla replied to the greeting in a very haughty tone and said, "These are your new master. Get his luggage put in the room and show the master the room too. Let me take a look at the house." After coming here, Layla's manner had changed a lot. She was behaving with me too as if I was her servant. That servant took me to a large bedroom and put all my luggage aside, and he said, "The master who came before you was very good. He took great care of me, but what happened to him was very bad. If only the master had listened to me, then such a thing wouldn't have happened." I was startled by the servant's words. I don't know what the servant wanted to say. Perhaps he didn't know that I was his previous master's brother. That's why he said such a thing. I immediately asked him what had happened to your elder master. He said with sorrow that the elder master was a very good man, just poor fellow, the mistress's love. Before he could complete his sentence, Layla appeared from somewhere and angrily told the servant, "What are you still standing here for? Go and prepare the food." The servant left the room in panic, and Layla angrily told me, Don't mingle with these low-caste people who say whatever comes to their mind. I don't know why Layla got so angry. I was seeing this side of her for the first time, and she was talking to me as if she was my mistress. I got lost in my own thoughts. I had become convinced that the servant knew a lot. I wanted to find out the truth from that servant by any means, but Layla turned out to be even more cunning than I thought, and she didn't leave me alone for even a moment. The rest of the time I spent with Layla in the room. If she could have her way, she would have gone to the washroom with me too. This was my first night in Dubai, and Layla had gotten up and left the room. I don't know where she had gone. I waited for her for some time, then went looking for her and reached the kitchen door and was surprised to see that so late at night, Layla was standing in the kitchen cutting onions. Behind her, that same servant was standing with folded hands respectfully, but his facial expressions were very strange. He looked somewhat worried and was quietly asking Layla, "Mistress, will you feed the same thing to the new master too?" At his words, Layla angrily said, "You talk too much. It's better you keep your mouth shut. Otherwise I'll pack your bags and send you back to your father." Seeing Layla's anger, the poor guy got scared. I had heard both of them, but didn't show anything. I don't know what Layla was making. She probably fed the same thing to my brother too. That's why the servant was saying such things. I went near Layla and asked her, "What are you doing so late at night? We have already eaten dinner. What are you making now?" At my words, she smiled and said, "I'm preparing something special for you that I will feed you with my own hands every night." Arab women definitely feed their husbands this special thing every night. Go to the room and wait for me. I'm coming. At her words, I was surprised what special thing was she making. I had heard that Arab women's ways are quite different, and they take great care of their husbands, but what surprised me more was Layla's changing behavior. Weighing in one moment, measuring in another. Since morning she had been behaving with me like a servant, and now sweetness had melted into her tone. With many questions in my heart, I returned to the room. Layla too came after some time carrying a bowl. A very strong smell of olive oil was coming from that bowl. I asked in surprise, "What is this?" Then she said, "I've brought this especially for you. Every night before sleeping you have to eat this onion." Thinly sliced onions were in the olive oil, and perhaps they had been cooked in that oil for some time too. I asked in surprise, "Layla, what will happen by eating this?" At my words, she smiled and said, "Not everything is told. You'll find out yourself in a few days what happens by eating it." Layla forcibly fed me quite a lot of onions that had been cooked in olive oil. It was somewhat difficult for me to eat it, but for Layla's sake, I ate it. After some time, I fell asleep too, and the next morning, Layla told me that I would stay with her everywhere, whether office or home. She said, "I'll teach you the ways here and explain my business to you too. Very soon, you'll learn everything." What objection could I have anyway? However, I wasn't getting a chance to talk to that servant alone. I wanted to ask him many questions about my brother, but Layla took me to the office with her, and then we stayed together all the time. And every day, it started happening like this. Gradually, I realized that she wanted to keep me away from that servant this way. Perhaps she feared that I would find out her truth, but I had made up my mind that today or tomorrow I would find out Layla's truth and the secret of my brother's death. Layla and I would stay in the office all day and return together in the evening. Every night, she would regularly feed me the onion in olive oil, and I would quietly eat it too. Because, seen from outside, I was still living on her crumbs, and she was also sending money to my mother regularly. What was the purpose behind all this I couldn't understand in any way? Why was she showering money on me and my family? For some days, Layla seemed restless all the time in the office. She would call the lawyer repeatedly and talk, but after he left, she would become even more irritable. What was said between those two, I didn't know either, but whatever it was, Layla had become very irritable. Eating olive oil and onions had started causing changes inside me too, which I couldn't understand how was happening. One day, I went to her office with Layla. Then she spread some papers and sat in front of me and said, "I want to put some of my business in your name, so I've had these papers made by the lawyer sign them." I was shocked at Layla's words. Why did she want to put half her property in my name when I still didn't know anything about her business? Were these the same papers because of which Layla had been so restless for the past few days? In my state of surprise, I picked up the papers and started reading them, but meanwhile the lawyer came into the room and said quickly, "Sign the papers and give them to me. I'm getting late." Without reading, I signed the papers and handed them to the lawyer. I don't know why at that moment I forgot how cunning and deceitful Layla was. I couldn't even guess what kind of papers I had signed and what precious thing I had lost. After the lawyer left, Layla was very happy, while I should have been happy because her property had been put in my name. Anyway, late at night, when we returned home, we were very tired. I wanted to sleep, but Layla again prepared the olive oil onion and came to the room and started feeding me with her own hands. Today, I didn't feel like eating this at all. I told Layla that I'm very tired today and have already eaten a lot, so feed me this tomorrow. But she didn't listen to me. I couldn't displease Layla anyway. She had just put half her property in my name in the morning. Thinking this, I stayed quiet and ate the onion and olive oil she had brought. After eating it, many emotional changes had started happening inside me, and I had gained much more strength than normal men. I would spend the whole night writhing alone, and because of this, my whole body had started aching. I had started having much more sexual desire than a normal man, and when Layla wasn't available to me, I would use wrong methods, and this was the reason my health was being ruined. With each passing day, I was becoming weaker, and 15 days had passed since I signed the papers when one night Layla came to me and started feeding me the same olive oil and onion. That night, my condition was very bad. It felt like my blood pressure was getting high and a brain vein was about to burst. I hadn't slept for many nights either, and I told Layla that my condition isn't right. I don't know what's happening to me. Now stop feeding me this onion and olive oil. It has increased my sexual desire too much. And then you too leave me at midnight and go to another room. Hearing me, she smiled and said, "What kind of man are you getting scared of your own strength?" Saying this, she forcibly fed me that onion again that night and then went to another room to sleep. A little later, because of the sexual desire, a kind of agitation started arising inside me, and my condition started worsening. When I couldn't understand anything, I left the room and started wandering around. Wandering around, I reached the servant quarters. Coincidentally, that same servant was coming out of his quarter for some work. I told him that my condition is worsening. He immediately went to his room and said, "Master, you too eat olive oil and onion daily. Don't you know that everything has a method of use? If you eat like this daily, then this beneficial thing will harm you so much." Your brother too hadn't listened to me and had trusted the mistress. That's why he too had a heart attack. The servant's words shocked me. He said the elder master had a heart attack because his sexual desire had increased so much that his blood pressure remained high. When his desire wasn't satisfied, his condition would worsen, and then one day like this, he had a heart attack. The mistress didn't rush him to the hospital, and the master couldn't be saved. That's why that day I was asking the mistress whether she would feed you the same thing daily too. I don't know what the mistress wants." Hearing the servant's words, I was stunned. I couldn't understand what Layla wanted. And then, the very next day, everything spilled out in front of me. Coincidentally, Layla was talking to the lawyer in private, and I heard all their conversation from behind. She was saying, in extreme anger, that I adopted such a method to kill Farkan, that no one found out that I killed him deliberately. But despite this, my purpose wasn't fulfilled, and he went and put all his property in his brother's name. Farkan had earned so much money through illegal means that he had become richer than even the Arabs. In the race to acquire this wealth, I brought his brother here, but you're saying that the papers still aren't complete. How many more days do I have to wait? I can't tolerate this man anymore, and now even his condition has started worsening. I'm afraid that before the property comes to me, he might die." The lawyer was explaining to Layla that legal requirements take time to fulfill you. Just spend a few more days, all the property will be transferred to your name. Hearing Layla's truth, I was stunned. She really turned out to be a very deceitful woman. I had known her truth at first sight, but I didn't know that she had adopted such a method to kill my brother. I regretted to know that my brother was earning wealth here through illegal work, and this same wealth became the reason for his death. I had no concern with such wealth that was earned by robbing others. I believed in hard work and halal earnings, so without saying anything to Layla, I turned back from there, and upon reaching home, started packing my bags. Layla asked me in surprise, "Where are you going?" I told her clearly in plain words that my brother's wealth is blessed for you. I've signed now, I'm going back forever. I'm the support of my old mother and sisters. If I die, they'll all be helpless. Hearing me, she was stunned. She hadn't expected that I would let this property go to her name so easily. That's why she had staged such a big drama. I buried this secret in my heart about how my brother died, because somewhere behind this death was my brother's own greed and dishonesty too, and I returned empty-handed. Today, I'm earning halal income through hard work, and with the blessings of this halal income, I've gotten both my sisters married. Sometimes I laugh thinking how foolish I was to consider olive oil and onion harmless. Every remedy is useful only when done in a specific way and with an expert's advice. If olive oil and onion are also used in the right way, then it increases male strength.